Hey, it's Grace Duckworth, and I'm here with you today with a chickenless noodle soup recipe. It's been really cold here in Kansas City the last few days, and this is kind of a staple for me through the winter season because it's super comforting. It's not the most nutritious meal that I make and recipe that I have shared with you guys so far, but it's mentally nourishing, and your heart likes chicken noodle soup, and if you don't eat meat anymore, then your heart will like chickenless noodle soup even more. So we're going to get started with the ingredients. We'll be using a tempeh instead of chicken. Doesn't taste like chicken, doesn't look like chicken, but we're not using meat, so I like to put this in. It's a nice texture, I think. It tastes good. Really, honestly, it tastes like nothing, so you can just make it taste like whatever you want. This is what I'm using. You can leave it in or take it out, whatever you want to do. Half an onion or a quarter, depending on how much you like onion. I'm probably going to use a quarter of it today. 2 stalks of celery, 2 carrots. I'm using brown rice quinoa noodles because I had a little bit that I need to use up, so I'm just using the rest of that bag. As far as fresh herbs go, I generally add fresh parsley into the mix, but I don't have any today, so instead I'm just going to be using fresh thyme, rosemary, and basil. And finally, my broth base is this vegan chicken flavored seasoning. Unnecessary. You don't have to go out and buy something like this. You can simply Google what spices are in poultry seasoning, what spices and herbs are in poultry seasoning, and then put it together yourself, which is what I had been doing at home until my sister had bought that. So very simple. It's mostly just like garlic powder and dried sage. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. I just realized something hilarious. I went to grab the pot, which is usually on top next to the kettle, and it's not there. I'll show you where it is. It's here, housing what apparently my sister made last night, some sort of soup. It actually looks really good. But that's not going to slow us down. We're going to make it in a wok because we're resourceful people. So chickenless noodle soup in a wok. First things first, we're going to get the wok on a low heat, which would generally be a high heat if you're using wok, because that's what woks are for, high heat. But we're making soup in a wok, so we're going to improvise. We're going to put on low heat. I'm going to add in a little bit of olive oil and just get it warmed. Some people are really anti-oil for some reason. If you are an anti-oil person, you could just put a little teens of water in there and it'd be fine. And then I'm going to get the onion in there first. So just, chop up vegetables. Once the onions start to get a little bit more clearish, we're going to add in the other vegetables. It's time. In go the celery and carrots. So basically it's bringing out the flavor of the veggies, which I can expect to be extra special and flavorful with the wok, since the wok is so good at making everything taste amazing. The tempeh is going to go in pretty much immediately after, and I don't cut it up or anything. I just kind of crumble it in because it, I don't know, is easier and kind of looks more like chicken, I guess, than like a slice of tempeh. So if you don't have the pre-made chicken seasoning that I have, this is when you would add in your dried seasonings, like dried sage, garlic powder, or whatever else that you're wanting to add in that you have already Googled for poultry seasoning. This is when you would add it in, and you're adding it in so that the tempeh picks up the flavor of chicken seasoning. It's been in there for just a couple of minutes. It's starting to smell a little bit more like chicken, which means it's time to add in water. I don't measure stuff. This is the size of bowl I'm using, so I'm going to put in 2 bowls of water. You can kind of just stir all of your stuff together. Then I'm gonna put this bad boy, this enormous skillet, over it kind of like a lid as best as I can. It's obviously not gonna be perfect. It's enough to trap in more heat, I guess. I don't have a lid for a wok because it's a wok. So I'm just improvising. You can do it too. Oh right, also turn your heat up. So now we're going to a higher heat. Since it's not completely covered with a lid, I'm gonna put it up to almost as high of heat as my stove can create. But if you're doing this in a pot, as you generally would with soup, and you just put a lid on that fits it, you could do more of like a medium-high heat, and that would probably be perfect. But we're basically just gonna bring the water up to a boil very quickly so we can add our pasta in. Would you look at that? It worked. So now it's time to add in the noodles. Stir them around. I'll probably add in another bowl or two of water. I decided 2 bowls was the better choice. Everything is in there. Gonna stir it a little bit, and then I'm gonna pop my fake lid back on and bring it back up to a simmer for 10 minutes. While you're simmering, you can just have fun. Drink some tea. Think about that song from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I can't stop playing that in my head because all I hear is chicken noodleless soup. That's so dumb, but funny. I think it's good. You're simmering it on a lower heat for about 10 minutes. I took the lid off. It looks wonderful. It's all cooked together. The noodles are no longer hard, but soft as they should be. And I'm going to be adding in my fresh herbs. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just rip up the basil leaves. The rosemary, kind of a strong flavor, so you know, maybe start with a little bit, test it, and then add more. I'm not much of a tester when I'm cooking because I don't know, I just trust that I know what I'm doing, and it usually turns out really well, which pretty much any cook will tell you don't do that. But I don't know, I guess I'm wild. I like to play things on the risky side. Obviously that's not natural for me. That came out so awkward. And then I really like to do a lot of thyme. And thyme, there's a little trick to getting it off. You hold the end of the stem and then you just, let me show you close. So see how the leaves are moving this direction? You hold on to the end and then you pull them off in the opposite direction. And they come off all perfect. That way you don't have to take off teeny tiny little leaves forever and ever and ever. And if you get a pre-made poultry seasoning like I have, there's already going to be a fair amount of salt in it. So I'm not going to be adding any more salt. But if you didn't, this might be the time where you start adding in a little bit more salt and just test a little bit of the broth. Make sure it's a good flavor. I'm definitely going to be adding in a little bit of black pepper. And then when I have as much herbs as I want in there, I just turn the heat off. Give it a stir to get all of the herbs spread evenly in the soup, which, holy balls, smells good. And then I just pop this fake lid back over for like 5 minutes. You just let the herbs sit in there, hot, but not on anymore. It's not cooking, it's just absorbing for like 5 minutes. Okay, it's been sitting for 5 minutes. The herbs are well absorbed. It looks freaking incredible, even though my lighting in my kitchen kind of sucks. I think you can tell it's amazing. She's got the right idea. Let's eat. Truth time. Let's see if it's as good as I've made you believe so far. It's so hot still. I'm afraid of burning myself. Mmm. It's so good. It's so, so good. And, like, easy. The length of the video is pretty much how long it took to make this. Maybe a little bit longer, but hardly. Anyway, you should totally do this. I can't wait to hear about how yours turns out. Let me know if you like this video and you want to see more recipe videos of me. Please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube page, because not only am I crafty in the kitchen with soup wok recipes, but I also am a full-time yoga teacher. So check out my tutorials, my day in the life of a yoga teacher videos, my sneak peeks of my classes, and then be sure to check out graceduckworth.com, because that's where all my upcoming events are. That's where my online programs are at. That's where all of my recipes are at. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Leave comments. Share the love. Have a great day.